Welcome to Fresh Catholic, a podcast for those who are converting, reverting, or simply want a fresh perspective of the Catholic faith to help them to open their hearts and minds to become closer to the love and goodness of Christ. My daily prayer is that I will be a bright light to others, to be filled with the love and light of Christ, so that when people look at me, they see Him radiating out from me for His glory. Hello and welcome. I'm Lori Balderas, and I'm so happy you're here. I think everybody loves to talk about angels, so that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to give you some facts and a few angel stories I have from my life. If you haven't heard the accident episode, I suggest you go have a listen to see what was going on in my life when I had these angelic encounters. I'll be here when you return. So God created beings known as angels. Whereas men and women have bodies and souls, angels are pure spirits. An angelic nature consists of an angelic intellect or mind and an angelic will or heart. Angels are messengers of God. They are represented throughout Christian Bibles as spiritual beings intermediate between God and humans. They share a common purpose. They act on behalf of God, helping His people and bringing Him glory. Psalm 148, 2-5 says, "Yet you have made them humans a little lower than God, and crowned them with glory and honor." Angels can intervene and intercede on behalf of humans. Angels protect the righteous. They dwell in the heavens, act as God's warriors, and worship God. There are 3 separate cases of angelic interaction dealing with the birth of John the Baptist and Jesus. In the Gospel of Luke, an angel appears to Zechariah to inform him that he will have a child despite his old age, thus proclaiming the birth of John the Baptist. Also in Luke, Gabriel visits Mary in the Annunciation to foretell the birth of Jesus. According to Matthew, after Jesus spent 40 days in the desert, the devil left him, and behold, angels came and ministered to him. In Luke, an angel comforts Jesus during the agony in the garden. In Matthew, an angel speaks at the empty tomb following the resurrection of Jesus and the rolling back of the stone by angels. These are just some passages from the Bible that I think are interesting because they show presence of these angels in very important parts of these people's lives. Angels gained all their knowledge all at once, at the moment of their creation, and their will makes one choice that lasts for all eternity. Angels cannot change their minds after they've made a decision. Sadly, some of the angels in heaven made the decision to turn away from God. Angels were created before humankind, and some of them sinned and were cast into hell for all eternity. These fallen angels are known as demons. Lucifer was the most intelligent of all the angels. He and 1/3 of the angels rebelled against God and refused to submit to His dominion. It's not accurate to say that God created the devil. God created the angel Lucifer, who was intrinsically good and who freely chose to become bad. After his fall, he became known as Satan, or the devil. Hell was created by God as a place of eternal punishment for Lucifer and all the fallen angels who accompanied him. Most of the angels remained obedient to God. Saint Michael and the other 2/3 decided to remain loyal to God and fight against the angels who rebelled. I particularly love Saint Michael the Archangel. He is one of my very favorite saints and angels. I wear one of his medals around my neck, and I also gave one of his medals to my oldest son just to protect him from a lot of harm out there. The prayer to Saint Michael the Archangel is as follows. Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, cast into hell Satan and all evil spirits who prowl throughout the world seeking the ruin of souls. We pray this every morning at Mass, and I love it. There are 9 choirs of angels or groupings of angels. They are, in order from the highest to the lowest, seraphim, cherubim, thrones, dominions, virtues, powers, principalities, archangels, and angels. The 3 archangels are Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael. Michael is a warrior. He protects. Gabriel is a messenger. He announces. Raphael is a guardian. He guides. I like to think that I have 3 guardian angels, and they are Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael. I think maybe if I were to have 3 more sons, I would name them those names. Or maybe 3 dogs. I don't know. I just really like those names. I often think about these 3 angels when I go to bed. And this is what I envision. And I love this. I wish somebody would do a painting of it because I love it so much. For peace and comfort, I imagine that I'm laying down on the lap of Raphael on my side going to sleep, and that Gabriel is behind me with his wings wide open, protecting me, and that St. Michael is in front of me, sword drawn, warding off evil. That gives me such peace, that envisioning me going to sleep that way. So that's what I do. Guardian angels are spirits God has commanded to watch over you and guard you. The belief in guardian angels is based on Matthew 18:10. See that you do not despise one of these little ones, but I tell you that in heaven their angels always behold the face of my Father who is in heaven. The guardian angel prayer, which is a beautiful little prayer. I love it. It's a sweet prayer to teach to your children or grandchildren. It is, Angel of God, my guardian dear, to whom God's love commits me here, ever this day be at my side, to light and guard, to rule and guide. Isn't that so sweet? I love that. Angels in art are usually shaped like humans of extraordinary beauty, but this isn't always the case how they describe angels in the Bible. Sometimes they are portrayed in a frightening and inhuman manner. Many times in the Bible, when referring to people's encounters with angels, it says things like, they were struck with great fear, or the angel would say, do not be afraid. So I'm assuming they were quite frightening looking, or maybe they were just so unusual that the humans didn't know what they were. I mean, I can imagine how alarming that would be, that all of a sudden there's this thing in front of you, and I can imagine that that would have been quite frightening. But I think we do have maybe in the world a perception of angels that is very beautiful. I don't have a problem with that people think that, but I think that's a much nicer vision. But I just think in the Bible it's interesting because obviously they make it sound like they were very scary looking. So just interesting, something to think about. I know when I was little, again, I wasn't raised in any religion, but for some reason I was very fascinated with angels, and I just remember gravitating to them at Christmas time, and that I thought they were very beautiful, and I always liked the angel ornaments or angels in my Advent calendar. I just always gravitated to them. I think they're really important as a symbol of peace and love. And then I'd like to tell you the stories that I have about the angels that I have encountered. So I know a lot of people are very cynical in the world about things. So if you have a story about angels or miracles, sometimes people like to put those down, or sometimes people like to say, well, there's an explanation for that, or you just made that up, or whatever. That's their problem, I suppose. I think we need more angels and miracles in our life and in our world. And so you can listen to these stories and believe them or not. But to me, they definitely happened, and I think they're quite miraculous. So I'm going to tell you my stories. So when I was in my car accident in 1990, I was out on this country road. Nobody was around. The people that were involved in the accident, so I was told, stayed in their vehicles. So my little boy and I were in our vehicle, very injured, and I was screaming, and I was laying down on the seat, and this person showed up out of nowhere, and I never saw this person's face. I only was speaking to this person. I was saying I needed to get out. And he said, I can't get you out. And I said, I'm pregnant. And he said, oh my God, I can't get you out. Now, when help arrived, they were going to move me. I don't know who these people were, but people were showing up. They were trying to move me. And this person noticed that my head was flopping around because I had a broken neck. And he told them not to move me, that they needed to check my neck. He stopped them from moving me. If they would have moved me, I would have been permanently paralyzed. I was temporarily paralyzed for a few months, but that would have really messed me up big time. Now, the interesting thing is that person was never seen or heard from again. They're not documented anywhere. I was just told later that a person was there who stopped people from moving me. So I think that was my angel that was watching over me. So that, to me, is a beautiful story. On a different level, a while later when I went back to the hospital after the accident, and I had to have my halo apparatus put on, which was horrible. They put screws in your skull and this big apparatus. It's very scary, and it's very painful and confining, and you feel very helpless, which I did. I was in the hospital, and I had just had my halo put on. I was feeling very vulnerable and very out of sorts. I called the nurse and wanted ice chips because I needed ice chips. And this horrible person came in, very scary. My memory of this person was very scary, very demonic looking. She kind of looked like the stepmother in Cinderella, if anybody has seen that cartoon, with those wicked eyes, and it was kind of dark. My memory is it was very dark. And she came in, and she was trying to put ice cubes in my mouth. Now, for anybody that's been in the hospital, when you want ice chips, it's because they melt fast and they're small. An ice cube is very scary. And when you have a very swollen neck like I did and can't swallow properly and you're laying down, you can't swallow ice cubes. So I started panicking because this person was trying to force me to have ice cubes. And I was very afraid. So I was trying to phone my husband. And this is back before cell phones. So if somebody wasn't at a phone, they weren't going to be able to get a phone call. And I couldn't get a hold of him. He had left the hotel that he was staying in, which was close by the hospital. I didn't know where he was. I was very afraid. I wanted him to come and help me. And so I called my mother-in-law, and I was in a deep, frantic panic. And I was hysterically asking for my husband, John. And we have to remember that she's the one that told me this story, so I know it happened. It's not I made it up. She said when I phoned, I was just frantically, hysterical, looking for John. She said she didn't know where he was, and she said she was very afraid because she was 2 hours away, and I was very frantic, and she couldn't get anybody to come help me. She's trying to calm me down, and the phone went dead, which just made her all the more panicked. And so she calls me. I'm telling her in that phone call, there's somebody here. They're trying to harm me. I was very frantic. She calls back to the hospital and said, put me through to whoever's in charge of the third floor. And the next voice on the other end was me. And she's like, Lori? And I said, yes. And she said, are you okay? And I said, yes. And I was really calm. And she said, well, are you sure you're okay? Because you weren't okay. And I said, oh, no, I'm okay now. And she said, why? What's happening? And I said, oh, well, Faye's here with me now. And she said, who's Faye? And I said, I don't know. She's here and I'm fine. And she said, okay. And she told me later it was bizarre. It was this very bizarre thing that I went from being practically, just climbing into the phone to this really, like moments later, super calm. And Faye all I remember about Faye was that she came basically floating in. I have a very vivid picture of her. She was very dark skinned, long wavy hair. She was all in white. And she just came over and she calmed me down and she was holding my hand and she was looking at me in my eyes. And I was just like, I completely had peace and calm wash over me. And again, no record of this Faye person. There was record of the nurse that came in to give me the ice cubes, and she was not being appropriate with me. My memory is that they actually got rid of her because she was being very aggressive to me, but there's no record of Faye. There was no Faye. And yet there was Faye because it was very real. I remember her holding my hand. And again, that's just a memory of peace and calm in a frantic moment. And I believe God sent me Faye.
We'll be right back.
Rising anti-Semitism. New generations redefining how they connect with Jewish traditions. Changing dynamics among Jews around the globe. Take a deep dive into these topics and more on Mosaic, Exploring Jewish Issues, the podcast brought to you by the Jewish Federation of Palm Beach County. Hear from the thought leaders, politicians, scholars, and artists at the forefront of Jewish life today. Subscribe to Mosaic, Exploring Jewish Issues, wherever you listen to podcasts.
My other angel story, which isn't really my angel story, it's my son's angel story, but I love it nonetheless. My son Taylor, in a previous episode, I talk about that he got hit by a truck when he was 12, and I wasn't there when he got hit. So after his accident, he was across the street from his friend's house, and his friend had to run home to get his parents to come and help Taylor. When they went to go help Taylor, he was sitting up. He was doing okay. He was sitting on the curb. And the mother of the friend says to Taylor, how did you get over here? And like she was just questioning him about how, what had happened, why he was sitting up, because the son had said, oh, no, he's laid out. He's not doing well. And he said, oh, well, I was here with, Joaquin and Alejandro. And she said, who's that? And he goes, the two guys that were sitting here with me, they were here, on either side of me. And they were sitting with me till you came. And she said, there was nobody here when we walked over here, Taylor. And he said, oh, no, they were here. And she said, how do you know their names? He goes, oh, I named them. They're named after Zorro and his brother. So anyway, I love that story too, because God sent those angels to sit with my child because I couldn't be there with him. And I am just abundantly grateful for the fact that God sends us angels when we need them. I think they're everywhere. I think we don't even know when they're around us. I think sometimes they're invisible and they're like kind of nudging us or kind of, guiding us, like almost that a mother does sometimes, where they kind of herd their children a little bit. I feel like angels do that. I feel like there's angels that go into human bodies and take them over and kind of, how else would we interact with them sometimes? Like when I saw these angels and they kind of came and went, maybe that's the purpose sometimes, that they're not meant to be necessarily seen or remembered. But then there's the other ones where I feel, my personal opinion, this is not a fact, my personal opinion is that they go in like a spirit, go into another body and have a human body do things for someone with an angelic spirit. I just believe that 100%. I think we should all be aware that there's angels out there. I think we should all be open to them. I think it can't hurt. Like, that's why I get sad when people are so cynical about things. It's like, well, who believes in God? Who believes in angels? Who believes in miracles? Well, why not? Why not? Why can't we believe in that? I get really sad when people don't want to believe in anything. Even things like Santa Claus. Santa Claus walked the earth. This is what I used to tell my children, and I believe it's true. Santa Claus walked the earth. Now, the spirit of Santa Claus goes into humans, and they go out and spread his love and kindness and giving and charity by having that spirit in them. Why can't we believe in these things? Why? My dad was a scientist, and he was always a big man about facts, all about facts. But after my accident, when I told him my angel stories, or I told him that I, believed that God saved me from the accident and that I was trying to be wiped out by Satan and God saved me and these angels saved me, I believed it so much that my dad said to me, you know what? I can't dispute it. It happened and you're here. And if that's what happened and that's what you believe in, I believe it too. So I love that. Also, I think it's interesting in our world that people will refer to other people as angels. I like to refer to people as angels. I call my music director at church Andrew my angel every time I see him. I think my grandchildren, I think of them as little angels. So I kind of also consider that we can act like angels to other people. I think it's nice to try to be an angel among others. To me, it's a spirit of love, comfort, guidance, peace, and protection to others. So if you can give that to other people and be an angel to them, isn't that a nice thing? We can't be God, we can't do that, but we can certainly give those feelings to somebody by being an angel to them. I have a little man on my walk. His name's Rami, and he calls me his angel every day. He says, Lori, my angel. And he says this to me because I helped him to figure out how he could go back to church and receive the Eucharist after, I think he said 40 years. So he said every time he receives communion now, he thinks of his angel, which is me. And it's not because I'm extraordinary. It's just that I maybe took on the traits, like I just said, of love, comfort, guidance, peace, and protection to my little friend. So go out and try to be an angel for other people. That's a nice thing to maybe have in your head. What's something you can do that would spread the word about God and his goodness? How can you go be loving and kind to others? How can you go and be, I like to think of angels as more like they're protectors and they are healers and they're comforters. I often think, thank heaven for angels because we have God, obviously. We pray for the intercession to the Blessed Mother and the saints, it's very important that we do that. And then there's the angels. I believe that angels and saints and the Blessed Mother just give extra power to the Lord. It's just more and more strength. And so if we can all just be aware that these angels are out there, we can be angels ourselves for other people, bring protection and strength to people. I think that's really important. And I think we need more angels in the world. Think about the people like, even though Mother Teresa was a saint also, saints and angels could be very closely related. She was such an angel to people. And the facts of the matter is, like I said earlier, that angels aren't humans and all that. I get that, but I'm just talking about the spirit of an angel. So we can't be a saint on earth. We can be an angel on earth and be an angel to other people. And then when we get to heaven, we want to strive to be a saint. I know I do. I'd like to be an angel now, but when I grow up, I want to be a saint. So I hope this was an enjoyable episode. I would love for you to let me know if you've had any angel sightings, because I love to hear people's angel stories. I just think when people tell me their angel stories, they usually are very excited to tell me, and they brighten up when they tell me. When I've heard other people's angel stories, they're just presented to me with such warmth and peace. And so please let me know those. I'm getting ready to do an event at the end of April for the young adult ministry in Ventura County. So I'm really excited about that. And I've been getting lots of really great feedback about my podcast and about my social media. So if you're not already listening, or you need to go back and listen to the podcast, please do. I really love it for people to start at the beginning and work their way. But if you can't do that, that's okay. I just would like you to listen and like and subscribe and share with your friends and your family. I would love to come talk to your groups. I know I have people really inquiring about that. There was an article in the National Catholic Register, and I was included in that article on April 1st. So if you want to go look for that, I was really excited about that. I felt very honored. And let's see, please follow me on social media. I think that that's really fun. I'm posting little 30-second videos on there every day. I had somebody say they wished I did a podcast every day. That's not what I'm going to do right at this time, but the 30-second videos are my way to connect. So if you would like to do that, it's at Fresh Catholic. So thank you for listening. I'm so happy that you came by, and I'll see you next week. Thank you. Love you. Bye. Thank you for joining me today. Now go out and be a bright light in someone's life. And remember, be focused, be faithful, and be fresh. Fresh Catholic is recorded at Wonder Mouse Studios at the Castle at Pierpont in Ventura, California. My producer and engineer is Sarah Espel, and she could be yours too. Our podcast studio is available for rent. You can reach us at wondermouse.us or freshcatholic.com. When I grow up, I want to be a saint.